morning, everybody, and a happy Saturday morning to you. I hope your week has gone well. Yes, this video really is that long. There's so much going on with her missing stock, with the baby bump debacle coming up again, thanks to that stupid mood board, with the royal family. There's just so much. So let's just jump in and get busy, shall we? Let's go. We're starting off today with Prince William because he teamed up with United for Wildlife and they launched a new groundbreaking documentary series, the title of which is Guardians, which highlights the crucial work of the Rangers. It's being released on BBC's Earth, YouTube, and social media. Actually, by the time you're seeing this, it was released on Friday. Now, in typical William style, it's being reported that he actually paid for everything, and these kinds of documentaries are very expensive to produce. It's going to 6 different countries, 3 different continents. He himself is in it for a total of 40 seconds. I think we all know how William feels. He is a champion for the environment. He's been a champion for over a decade. Now, he introduces each episode of the series, which is really trying to capture the beauty of the natural world and the brutality of the guardians or protectors that are fighting to defend it. William, FYI, founded United for Wildlife through the Royal Foundation in 2013 to combat illegal wildlife trade, and the series was shaped by firsthand accounts from rangers he's met and the, quote, vital yet unseen work that they do to protect the planet. William said they're unsung heroes, and I like to see the rangers as the glue between the human world we live in and the natural world. This series follows stories from rangers that work in Central Africa Republic, the Indian Himalayas, Mexico's Sea of Cortez, South Africa's Kruger National Park, Sri Lanka, and the Karoo indigenous lands in Brazil. Again, we already know that William has spent years advocating for rangers and conservation teams. This series launched just weeks after I even reported to you guys that William paid tribute to 2 rangers who were killed and another who was severely injured in an attack in Mozambique, which William described as yet another brutal reminder of the immense sacrifices made by those protecting our natural world. And this past November, as I also reported to you, William announced a new life insurance initiative for rangers across Africa. It is a 5-year financial package funded in part by his foundation, which will benefit 10,000 rangers, giving them access to health and life insurance cover, as well as opportunities for training and development. And that, my friends, is why William just won the Philanthropy Award. Let's move on. Fabulous work, William. Don't forget to tune in every week. There's going to be a new episode. All right, we're going to move on now to Princess Eugenie. I already told you that she was going to work for the King's Foundation, but she has teamed up with designer Dr. Samuel Ross, artist and influencer of Sophie T Art, and historian and content creator Alex Loxton. They've all been announced as mentors for the new King's Foundation 35 Under 35 network, marking the charity's 35th anniversary. The idea is to build sustainable communities and develop education programs. And it's an interesting appointment showing that King Charles is continuing to support, Beatrice and Eugenie. Like I told you before, I think they had to pick a side. I think Eugenie looks really nice in that dress, and a big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for showing us what she was wearing. Let's continue. Let's go back to Prince William. On May 1st, he went privately to see Christina Charlton to wish her a happy 100-year birthday. He had met her 1 or 2 months previously at this care center that she was at, and I think it's lovely that he dropped in to wish her happy birthday. Let's continue. Let's move on now to the Duchess of Gloucester. She officially opened a few days ago the Edmonds Transplant Center, Birmingham. This is a new £4.2 million center that brings the hospital's transplant services into one place. And of course, the Duchess walked around so that she could learn all that they do. They're actually calling it a one-stop shop for patients in need. And of course, she went around and she spoke to staff and patients and administrators. And I really like her. She's like right up there with Sophie as far as I'm concerned. All right, let's continue. Next, the Duke of Kent hosted a reception with staff and supporters of Blood Cancer UK to thank them for their work. They work exclusively for blood-related cancers such as leukemia, and he's been the patron since 1972. This took place on May 21st, and he heard all about the new stuff they're coming up with. Love it. Let's continue. Next up, we have Sophie and Edward, the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, who basically went island hopping. So I'm going to try to cover it all in the correct order, but it may not be. First of all, they went to the Isle of Carrera, where they visited the Old School, the Marina, and the Waypoint Restaurant. The two of them also visited the Campbell Watson lifeboat at the North Pier in Oban, where they were received by His Majesty's Lord Lieutenant of Argyll and Bute, Mrs. Jane MacLeod. They also visited the island of Seil, I believe is how you pronounce it, S-E-I-L. I mean, they were all over the place. They were looking at different projects and talking to different people. It was really nice to watch. Sophie and Edward visited the Community Trust at the Isle of Lewing, again, one of their many stops of the day. And while they were in Lewing, the two of them took part in a stone skimming competition. A big thank you to Remoulade Sauce, as usual, for showing us what Sophie was wearing. Now, we're going to stick with Edward, the Duke of Edinburgh, because on April 25th, as Master of the Honorable Company of Master Marinas, he attended the installation dinner at Mansion House in London. All right, let's move on to our Harry Meghan stuff. Remember I told you Paul Burrell was writing a book? Well, back in December, he said that he was going around telling people we'd be seeing a lot of him in 2025. He come to find out he had a non-disclosure agreement, an NDA, and now the NDA has gone bye-bye, and that's why he's written the book. Whew, let's keep going. And next up, we have Omid Scobie, Harry and Meghan's mouthpiece. Apparently, somebody wrote that he had gotten a six-figure deal, and he wrote on there, oh, actually, it was 7, but who's counting? Listen, this guy is a one-trick pony who's now writing a book with a love triangle that has a duke who gets a PR makeover and falls in love. I mean, it's the same crap. Now, moving on to actual Meghan Markle, we know that the As Ever brand is literally flopping massively and people are talking about it. So what does she do? She puts out this ridiculous picture. Somebody took a picture over her shoulder holding some flowers. People are talking about this because, first of all, we know that when she put up stock to be sold, she only had like 50 of each jar of something. I mean, she had such a limited stock. She was going, look at that, it's sold out in 45 minutes. But if you only have 40 jars or 100 jars, of course it's going to sell out. But it's been 2 months since then, and she still has not restocked any of the items. I mean, there were only 8 products for sale and they're all gone. Now, here's the thing. There are some people who bought products. Now they're not available. They have not been given their money back. Instead, they were told, oh, we'll send you something else in exchange when something else comes out. And now here we go. Months later, nothing else has come out. These people have not gotten their money back. Mark Brokowski. He's one of the UK's leading publicity gurus and crisis managers, and he has described Meghan's management of the sold-out launch as complete chaos and questions what is the true story behind the long-standing unavailable products. She's offered no explanation on the lack of stock, and they said that's harming her brand's image, and they don't really even have the answers as to why the stock hasn't been replenished. This guy pointed out one thing. The fact that it's not restocking gives them the opportunity to refresh a story. But there's just no logic. And so now people are asking questions. This guy said the thing to do is when you've got a narrative and you've got some positive stories about how quickly this stuff sold, you want to keep it going. So I'm always curious about what the true story is here. I don't know where this narrative goes. And they've often forgot that the stories they post are scrutinized and have a long shelf life. Now, it is being said that Meghan's public image is one of create noise, create chaos, and therefore things have continued business as normal. Now, here's the next thing that happened. TV host Kevin O'Sullivan invited psychologist and narcissism expert Richard Gannon to his TV talk show to taste test Meghan's jam and compare it to one of King Charles, either the Buckingham Palace or the Windsor Castle Strawberry Preserved, which is priced at £7 and can be bought on the Royal Collection Trust website. So after tasting the As Ever jam on a cracker, Mr. Gannon said it tastes of entitlement, greed, and deception. Meanwhile, he said it does have a fruity taste, but he goes, you know what? It is not worth the almost £11 price tag. He goes, it's not that bad, but it's nothing to write home about. It's not worth $14. But when they tried King Charles's jam, they said it was proper jam, and it's only £7. Boom. Moving on. All right, next up, I just wanted to touch on this. You know, Catherine debunked Meghan Markle's claim. Remember, she said that when she met Catherine, she didn't realize that that stiffness on the outer is also on the inner, and what's in public is not in private, and she doesn't like to hug people. Well, of course, these pictures come out from the garden party where she's hugging members of the public, and then we've seen pictures of Catherine hugging people at different events throughout several years. The truth of the matter is, Catherine just didn't want to hug Meghan. Moving on. All right, next up, it's coming out that Charles is not inviting Harry to Balmoral. Why would he? He's untrustworthy, and he's, thrown off every other invitation he's ever gotten. He didn't get an invite last year either. All right, moving on. All right, unbelievable. The Daily Mail, I think, might have been trying to say something because they went out of their way to show Cressida, the last girl that Harry dated before Meghan, pregnant with her second child and her growing baby bump. And you have to wonder why. Right? We know that there's all kinds of chittering and chattering about Meghan's baby bumps. I almost feel like the Daily Mail took a swipe at Harry and Meghan with this article. Well, the reason people are taking a swipe is because of that absolutely ridiculous, stupid mood board that Meghan put up where supposedly, allegedly, she showed a picture of her pregnant. But all it did was start the fake baby bump conspiracy stuff up again. Every picture that she puts up of her supposedly pregnant is dark, pixelated, you really can't see. She puts up an ultrasound picture that's got no name, no date, no identifying information. So people know that this stuff is fake. And these articles have been coming out for forever. What you're looking at right now are articles and pictures from 2019, even as far back as that. YouTubers and people online were saying that this baby stuff was fake because we were noticing what mainstream media was ignoring. So what I'm going to show you now is information that I've shown you before. If you want to skip it, skip it. But it's all the proof that Meghan really was not pregnant. Okay? Everything. Here we go. Because I've told you guys before that what happens is the YouTubers do all the work and then mainstream media picks up the story and runs with it. So here's this story. Harry and Meghan are once again in the middle of a media storm about the legitimacy of their children's births. This controversy, which us YouTubers have been covering for a long, long time, is centered on claims that Harry and Meghan used surrogates for Archie and Lily. I personally believe a surrogate was used for Archie, but not Lily, because Meghan put a lot of weight on with Lily and it took her years to get it off. Apparently now, Thomas Markle and Samantha Markle are talking about it. Buckingham Palace is now under pressure to clarify the situation with some proof that Meghan actually gave birth to the children. They're saying the whole thing stinks to high heaven. Apparently, Thomas Markle Sr. said that 9 months before Archie was born, Meghan picked up her frozen eggs. And she said, yeah, that makes sense. There would be a surrogate involved. But why the secrecy? Well, that's simple. Because if the baby is not born of the body, they don't get into the line of succession, even if it's her egg and Harry's sperm. Unless she gives birth, the baby doesn't get into the line of succession. So there you go. Let's not forget that they announced Meghan was in labor 7 hours after Archie had already been born. And according to Harry, they were back at Frogmore Cottage within 2 hours of the birth. That's just not possible. So I'm going to show you guys what all of us YouTubers have been showing you guys for years about why we think Meghan didn't give birth to Archie. Remember, Archie was born in May. So this is her in March of 2019 at the Queen's Commonwealth Trust panel for International Women's Day. I'm sorry, pregnant bellies, your baby doesn't wobble side to side as you're walking. That's just abnormal. People are saying it's the outfit. I assure you that is not the outfit. That is like this water-filled balloon thing that she has on under her dress. Now in December, she would have been about 5 months pregnant. December 18th, Meghan visited a former entertainer's nursing home run by the Royal Variety charity. First of all, her dress was way too tight, but what people noticed is when she sat down, her baby bump turned square, like a pillow that was stuffed underneath her dress. Once again, the baby is there. It doesn't crunch up and move around in your abdomen. It's in your uterus. That's where the baby is. It doesn't have room. And when she bends over here, the baby just flattens in this dress. Her bump looks square. So the next thing that happened was in January, she went to an engagement at a dog rescue. So people noticed that when she bent down, very pregnant, 6 months pregnant, she stood up and there was a popping noise. Everybody seemed to notice it, but it was like the unspoken thing. Well, then we get a little closer and slow it down. Do you guys see that? Her belly comes out to meet her hand. Let me show you one more time. Watch carefully. She stands up. Look at her belly. Boom! The stomach pops out to meet her hand. What did she think? The baby just rolled up and coiled out? Now notice the size of her belly here. This was January 16th of 2019, okay? So here she is 2 days before that on January 14th, copying Diana's purple and red outfit, I might add. Now keep an eye on the size of her stomach. I don't know if you would call that the same as, 2 days later, but when she sits down, suddenly the baby bump disappears. Why do you guys think that is? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. They want you to believe that her bump went from that to this just because she sat down. Something's wrong. Again, and I've said this before to you guys, the YouTubers have been reporting on this for years, but for some reason, mainstream media is just now catching up to the stuff that we've been reporting on for forever. Now, you guys have to remember where the uterus is. When you're pregnant, the baby is low and grows out. But for some reason, Meghan's baby is all the way up in her rib cage. Even during, this is 24 hours apart. Even during the Netflix show, the baby crawled up into her rib cage. On the same day, she would have different events. The bump would be big, or the bump would be small. Now, I think they tried to address this in Netflix. They put up this picture to show her, except there's no head on it. And they put up this picture of an ultrasound, which has no name and no identifying information on it. And this one picture really showed that somebody, it looks like, was wearing a prosthetic baby bump. All through her pregnancy here, the bump is facing upward. It's like she put something on backwards. And I want to thank Yankee Wally because she was the first person to come out and say this was happening. Now, some other weird things happened, like here are the birth certificates for Catherine's children. You can see that the physicians signed off. Everything is legal. This means that we know that the children are of her body. It was witnessed and, that's all taken care of. But for some reason, Meghan Markle's announcement, not only was it worded differently, it's unsigned. And the paper looks like it's just like cheap copy paper compared to the other ones with the signatures. Then the next thing that happened was this notice was put up and then taken down, but not before somebody caught a screenshot. And then Harry and Meghan are playing games with the media. Like they put this picture out of Archie. Really? How do we know that that's Archie? They're always playing games. Here's a picture that shows Meghan cuddling him at Frogmore Cottage. Look a little closer. She's missing a finger. They only put out photoshopped fake stuff. Not even interested in seeing their kids. Here's a good example. Here's Lily. She has brown hair. Here she is with fire engine red hair. And then here she is blonde. You get my point? I mean, These three pictures you're looking at were all taken the same day. Does that look like the same kid to you in all three pictures? The answer is no. And Meghan's even darker in the picture holding Lily than on the bottom left than on the top right. So here is color corrected Meghan and Lily. Lily has red hair. Here she is without color correction. Their skin tone was almost identical, and Lily has brown hair again. And then here she's almost black compared to Lily. You see what I'm saying? So it's because of all of these discrepancies, her ability to kneel down with her knees together, 8 months pregnant, which is something you can't do, everything. Everybody knows that it's fake. It's all going to come out eventually, sooner or later. Oh, well, for those of you who don't know, this weekend is my birthday. I am turning 60. Oh my God! Yes, 60, but I'll take it because I don't like the alternative. So, for a birthday gift to me, hit that like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the links to my Twitter, Gettr, Rumble, email, a link to my father's book, which is for sale, a link to my second channel, and a link to my Amazon wish list, as well as a physical address. For those of you who've donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.